Hi, my name is Sammy Kim. I'm from Los Angeles, and my mentor is Gabriel Drawn. So what exactly is the WakeSense? To give a little bit of context, for the last few years, I've had a really hard time staying up in class and paying attention and things like that. I'd always be, falling asleep, struggling to stay awake. And more than just my work productivity and things like that, it would really affect, even the way I talk to people or my social interactions. Because when you're always tired, life becomes hard. And what frustrated me the most was the fact that, I knew I had a good diet, and I was getting a lot of sleep. I was getting a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So what could it possibly have been? Why was I always so tired all the time? That's when I did a little bit of research on REM stage cycles and how important it is that we accommodate to these cycles. To put it in simple terms, we as humans, we have a few different stages of sleep, it being deep sleep or light sleep. And if you wake yourself up in during a deeper period of sleep, your cognitive function could be a little less. You could be groggy or tired during the day. And I noticed that my alarm clock would constantly be waking me up during the worst times, my best times. And I, kind of just set the tone for the rest of the day. I'd just always be tired. So I wanted to take matters into my own hands, knowing this, and I thought that this would be a great opportunity and platform to do so. I wanted to make an alarm clock that would wake you up based on the REM cycle and not on just, straight up 7:30 on the dot, 8 o'clock on the dot. So it would kind of work with your uh, sleep schedule, a biometric alarm clock, pretty much. So together with my mentor Gabe, we kind of just worked on this very basic structure, this flow chart of a few different variables, and using those variables, we would put it into an Arduino device, which would act as our alarm clock. Those variables being heart rate variability, and the time. We'll start with the time. So basically, there are two variables that the user puts inputs, and those two times are like a range. I would put in, oh, I'm okay with waking up anytime between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. And depending on, first of all, the alarm clock would have to wake me up between one of those times, non-negotiable. We all got things to do. And the heart rate would be another variable. And that variable would be the main thing indicating what stage of sleep that the user is in. Lower or slower heartbeat, signifying that one is in a deeper stage of sleep. So don't wake them up. And a faster or higher heartbeat being, they're in a lighter stage of sleep. Feel free to wake them up, and the alarm clock would go off accordingly. So go ahead and read that chart, but it's a chart essentially. But if the standard heart rate is a little bit higher and a few different like if statements, then yeah, the alarm would go off and wake the user up. And using this information, it would go into the Arduino, and the Arduino would go off. But how would we get these variables? How would we get heart rate using whatever we have here with the Superstarter kit? So a lot of devices, such as the Fitbit and the Oura Ring, use a process called photoplasmography. Don't worry, it's very hard to pronounce, but you'll get it eventually. That's why I got the pronunciation down there. But to dumb it down into very simple terms, you and I, we have blood. What color is that? It is the color red. And these devices essentially shoot a green light into your skin, going into the blood, right? And green being on the opposite side of the color wheel as red. Um, According to this very, poorly drawn diagram or sketch on the top left here, this being like one of those rings or devices, the device would shoot in a green light, and it would go into your blood, and it would reflect off. And based on the color of that reflected light, which is going to be different, it goes back into the device, and the device will get this new color that's been reflected off and would run several different algorithms to see, oh, based on this color, that means it's a lower heart rate or a higher heart rate based on that reflected light. And so I used the pulse sensor, which is basically an Arduino compatible um, photoplasmography device. And we use that to track the heart rate variability. And, to use the experiment, I basically had individuals wear this photoplasmography device, the pulse sensor, and connect it up to the Arduino, the simple little device. I coded up a very simple script that I explained earlier through that flow chart, and essentially it works the same. Gets the heart rate based on if it's lower, then it won't wake you up, and if it's higher, then it's okay to wake you up. But make sure that all of that is within the same time. that the user wants to be woken up with. And I had people, use the same controlled environment. They would go into their bed, make sure they don't have anything before bed, eating before bed, like 30 minutes, 68 degrees, and make sure that they had a good 5 days of sleep without the device and a good 5 days of sleep with the device. And I had them take a survey both times, rating their sleep quality and different questions on a scale from 1 to 10. And just looked over, compared the results, and here are the results. Blue being without the wake sense or before, and red being afterwards. And you could look at the thing for a bit, but essentially there is a clear overall improvement in sleep quality and production following the usage. And although there's nothing groundbreaking, it is substantial enough to see that there is improvement and that the REM cycle is in fact very essential to the way that we function and are able to be productive. So, discussion slash conclusion, and there's a little GitHub link just to kind of look over it if you want to look over the code or the methodology. But it was an overall great experience, and it's really interesting to see the way that a lot of these devices work. And overall, my device being, maybe a cheaper alternative or really just basic variation of this is very interesting, especially to see just how much you waking up matters and the time that you wake up matters, despite the amount of sleep that you get. And overall, I will definitely be keeping track of when I wake up and how I wake up and things like that. But it was overall a great experience, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity. Thank you so much.